This is ChangeMakers with Katie Goar, finding the right solutions for the affordable housing community.
Today's changemaker is Neil Brickfield, the Executive Director of the Pinellas County Housing Authority, which serves more than 8,500 residents each day through affordable housing programs and programs that are really empowering people. Under his leadership, Pinellas partners with public and private organizations to improve housing quality and create pathways for self-sufficiency. Neil, welcome to the ChangeMakers podcast.
Thank you, Katie. I'm excited to be here. You have a great show.
Thank you. You and I have talked several times at industry events at NAHRO, and I'm always encouraged by how much you are leading in those industries. But I want to talk about Pinellas County first and really get a lay of the land, what's going on. It's incredibly densely populated. So why don't we just start there and you share where it is, what it's like, and some details before we get going into some of those specific leadership initiatives you're working on.
Thank you. So Tampa Bay is where Pinellas County is. On one side of the bay is the city of Tampa. That's the inside on the peninsula. And then we're a peninsula on the peninsula. So Pinellas County has Clearwater, St. Petersburg, and my city, Safety Harbor, right? That's Pinellas County. We are a county of about 1 million people. We are the most densely populated county in the state of Florida. And you could say that we're probably 97, 98% built out. So there's not a lot of vacant land out there anymore.
Mm-hmm. So what have you seen on the rent trends? Because I'm sure with those cities you named off, everybody wants to move there. So what's happening in the rent space?
So Miami leads the country in rental increases, and Tampa and Orlando are not far behind. So we've seen tremendous growth in our rents. And right now, the top of the market's a little soft, but anything 80% and below is still growing, right? There's a lot of demand at those levels.
Mm-hmm. So how did you first start working in housing? Because your background is quite varied, isn't it? Tell us maybe about your background and how you got started.
Okay, so I am not in housing for three years yet, but I've kind of been in it for a while. I've run my own business, or did, and then I got involved in politics as a city commissioner, and then I got to serve the great county of Pinellas County for a while, and then I actually went to the toughest, most neglected neighborhood in Pinellas County called Lellman. It's not a city, it's just a neighborhood, and I spent 10 years helping kids with the Police Athletic League, and I got a call one day from a friend of mine, and Joe said, "Why don't you put in to run the housing authority?" And I thought, I don't know anything about housing. And he said, "Well, you know a lot about helping people, so why don't you follow your passion and apply?" And the Lord was good to me. I ended up in Pinellas County Housing Authority, leading housing initiatives in Pinellas County, state of Florida. One of the most exciting times we've had.
Excellent. What was it like working for the athletic club? That's such a unique niche there.
So it was the Police Athletic League, and they called me coach, right? So we use athletics to bring the kids in after school and make sure the homework was done, that they were fed, and that they had some recreation. So if you think Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, all these great organizations that do the after school programs, PAL, Police Athletic League, we make our name nationally because we go into neighborhoods where other organizations don't. So we were dealing with some pretty great kids living some pretty tough lives, and we did our best to bring them along. And success for us was when they graduated, they punched the ticket, right? So every year we graduate. If we could keep kids involved until they were seniors in high school, we could get them to punch that ticket, and we could launch them in life and with a big advantage.
So how does that work now parallel into what you're doing? Because now you're able to help change those neighborhoods, so to speak. What's that been like?
It's interesting. that was a tough neighborhood. That's not the only tough neighborhood. It's a lot of fun when you go in and you create, or you're creating a much better place to live. You know, Katie, there's a lot of things I had to learn working for the Police Athletic League. For instance, I'm a middle class guy, right? When I sent my kids off to first grade, they knew their name, they knew their address, they knew their phone number, right? Most people do, right? I had a tough time working with the middle schoolers because they would point or tell me what color house they lived in the neighborhood. It took me a while to understand that they moved so frequently that they considered memorizing your address a waste of time because it was only going to change in 3 or 4 months, right? And the other big thing I learned was, probably like you, right? You taught your kids what to do in a fire or a tornado or any of the emergencies that could come up, right? You had a safe place to meet if there was a problem. I never once talked to my children about what to do if we were evicted. And we're like every family, we've had good times and bad times, right? But it never occurred to me that that was a conversation to have. And one day I'm sitting there and a couple of kids from middle and high school are explaining to me exactly what you do when you're evicted, because they've been evicted so many times in their life. It was routine. There was nothing unusual about being evicted. And if there's anything that they value, they left it at PAL, because PAL was a safe place. They wouldn't bring it to their house. So it was a big eye opener for me working with those kids.
And now you get to be part of the solution for housing stability. So you've really come full circle in what you were doing there and what you're doing now.
I'm helping the same families or the same type of families in very different ways. So it's very gratifying. You know, I have a personal mission statement. It's, I serve God by improving the lives of others. So this fits right in with what I do.
And you have to have a personal mission statement because this work is hard. Speaking of which, I want to highlight one of the things you guys just successfully navigated. As I was preparing for this, I was reading about the flats on 4th. Will you tell us more about what you guys have been able to do and what your goals are there?
So Flats on 4th is one of our senior housing buildings. I believe it'll have 78 units when it's done. We're working inside the city of St. Petersburg. It's been very supportive. In fact, they asked us to put in an application for state funding for that area, and we were successful. It's for the insiders, it's a sale loan and 4% bond deal. We're fortunate. We have some good partners. One of our partners, aside from Pinellas County and St. Pete Housing Authority, St. Pete, I'm sorry, is Evera Healthcare. Evera is a federally qualified health clinic, so we have a number of projects going right now. Evera and us have made a commitment that we're going to have a wellness center in every one of our facilities. So that doesn't mean 24/7. They're right next door to us in an older unit, Pinellas Heights, older as 10 years old. They're in there a couple of days a week. For the seniors, you get geriatric care, you get basic doctor care, and probably the most popular, the podiatrist comes in and cuts their toenails while they line up for that. You know, not a big deal unless you're a senior and you can't do it. Then it's a really big deal, right?
Well, it's quality of life, isn't it? And it's something that I remember when I was pregnant. I was like, there are things, mobility just changes your life on when something happens. And for our seniors, I mean, there are mobility concerns to navigate related to their quality of life. Yeah.
So we were out for, yes, I agree with you. We were out for a ribbon cut, a groundbreaking there, and we're in Florida. It was August. So from 7:30 to 7:35, we took a picture, right? We didn't do the whole ceremony. We'll wait till it's cooler to do a topping off party. But we were all reflecting that today it was dirt. But soon enough, there's going to be 80 people in our community who aren't going to have the burden or the worry of where am I going to live, right? There's going to be a place for them, and one big worry is going to be off their shoulders, right? And all they got to do now is live and enjoy. So that's pretty exciting stuff for our seniors.
And I'm sure with the 80 people that you're going to be able to house, if you were estimating how many people actually, what's the need? I mean, you have 80 units? Are you going to have 5,000 people apply? I mean, what's the disparity there?
Okay, so two things. Flats on Fourth is, I believe, about a year out before we can start putting the list out to occupy it. Heritage Oaks, which is less than a mile from my office, that's opening in November. In fact, November 14th is our ribbon cutting. You're invited, right? So we're leasing that up now.
Yes.
Right. That's another 80 seniors. That is a former public housing site. So we dispoed, we knocked down, we gently and carefully and lovingly relocated all of our tenants with white glove treatment so we could proceed with the demolition. And now we have 80 new units coming online. And my goodness, I don't think we were open for 72 hours. And I believe we had close to 1,000 people applying. And that's only because they couldn't apply fast enough. I mean, it was a short window. Pinellas County leads the state of Florida in senior housing needs right now. And it translates into some senior homelessness. So this is a challenge, and we can't build enough senior housing in Pinellas County in the state of Florida right now. It's always a high priority for us.
Mm-hmm. And what I like about senior housing, back in the day, I used to be a manager over several properties that were senior housing. And what I like is that there is that attentive care, and there can be that attentive care, as opposed to when they're living in a different type of a setting, that there's not as frequent check-ins, or there's not as frequent people who are in the hall, or have they seen them, or are they coming down for the Meals on Wheels, or they, so there seems to be more interaction. And I know that's a huge general statement, but senior housing is so vital, not just because it provides the affordable rent, but there's also this connectivity piece that I think senior housing provides so much better than other types of housing.
I will tell you that the level of tenant activity or engagement in one another is clearly higher in our senior units than it is in our, well, they're not working, right? So they're not leaving early and coming home late. They've seen each other all day long. It makes it fun.
There was something else about the Flats on Fourth that I read related to the water recycling system.
Oh, the gray water system.
Yeah, tell us more about that, because I found that to be very fascinating as well.
Okay, so first, in the state of Florida, if you use gray water, so gray water is water goes through your sink or your shower or bathtub, and we're capturing that underground. We're putting it through a filtering system to clean it, and then it's returning to either water the landscaping, or more importantly, it's being reused in the toilets to do the flushing. So it's essentially setting up two drainage and water distribution systems within the facility. And if you go to that, and I don't know about everybody else's state, I can tell you that water is our biggest expense after payroll, right? When we look at the utilities, water tops the list. So we get a bonus in the number of units we can put on, we could build at that location, and we get a long-term savings on our water and water usage. So you win twice on it. I believe it pays for itself within 3 to 4 years. So it's not a investment that's a killer, and it's good for the environment. It's good for us. It keeps the price of the facility lower. It's a win-win-win right there.
How did you guys come up with that idea? Is that a state mandate, or was that your developer's idea or staff?
It's not a state mandate, but it is a state law that if you use gray water, you can get a density bonus. So
Okay.
the developer came to us and said, this is what we want to do, and this is how we equate out.
Mm-hmm. If you had all the tax credit and bond of unlimited wallet, how much would you build and what would it look like? Dream for a moment there.
So, Katie, I have an awesome board. And when we set up to do our 5-year strategic plan, we talked about enlarging our footprint. Currently, we have approximately 2,000 units, and we set a goal as an organization to double our footprint within 5 years. So we have about 500 units under construction or under development right now. And our project starts when the board takes a vote, and then we have more in our pipeline that we're waiting to get funded. So we're being really aggressive. You're like, if it was unlimited, I'm like, we have a lot to handle right now. And we have that one coming online. We opened up our VASH, Valor Preserve, which serves our veterans last year. And we have a number coming on in the next year online. So we're being aggressive. I don't know if I want to dream on being more aggressive. I want to make sure that we're staying at a pace that we can handle, and we can handle excellently.
Yeah, that you can execute well, and it's based on quality.
Right. I will tell you that we recently purchased 2 assisted living facilities. We had one that we built. We learned that we were not good at running it ourselves, so we went out and got a third-party management. And then we just added 2 smaller ones. They each have about 30 beds each. We're really excited about that. You were alluding to this before. We have seniors and we do independent living, right? That's what we're doing. But you begin to see someone, that guy hasn't changed his clothes in a couple of days, or he's suddenly losing weight and looks like they're not eating, or they're becoming less social. All the signs that tell you something isn't going right. We have a mission statement: provide quality, affordable housing, improve the lives of residents. So we're talking about the second part now, right? We want to make sure that we have a place that we can provide for them or house them. I like to tell you that it's as easy as calling up their child or cousin and saying, Missy's having a problem. We need you to help. Frequently, there's nobody to call. Like these people are independent, and we can't stand by and just watch them deteriorate. We recently had a gentleman with dementia, and fortunately for him, he had a son in another state that made arrangements to come down and take his dad back with him. He's a fortunate one. Not everybody has one. So we look at the assisted living facility as a clear, wonderful next step, so that we can keep them in a safe place and move from independent care to assisted living care.
What type of community partnerships are you mostly relying on?
Wow. So, like everybody else during COVID, we kind of shut down and we didn't excel at the partnership part, but now we're back. So we'll have a family self-sufficiency graduate this month at this board meeting. We had one last month who graduated with $37,000. And the number one goal for these folks is buying a home. And one of our big partnerships is with Habitat for Humanity. It seems that it's a very good fit for our FSS graduates to enter in there. That's it. The only one is a community services foundation in Clearwater that we have somebody buying a house with. So we have a number of those. I mentioned Evera Healthcare, our great partner on our wellness, and then service, seniors in service, saving our seniors, Boys and Girls Club. We have a 50-year relationship with Head Start. We partner with the VA hospital on our VASH vouchers, and we have 563 VASH vouchers.
Oh, wow.
And as of Monday, everyone was either leased up or in a veteran's hands where they're out looking for housing right now. So not only the VA, our other partner is BOLI, which does the supportive services part. And I'm sorry, I'm not doing this justice. There's another 20. I'm just not got them off the top of my head. But we try to make partners because we go further with partners.
There's this philosophical divide, whether housing authorities and community developers, whether they're just, inside the wall or outside the walls, or whether they should be inside the walls. But the reality is to be able to deliver that comprehensive housing support, you've just highlighted exactly all the community partners that have a piece in this continuum of housing stability. And just even mentioning the veterans vouchers, the fact to be fully utilized, because so many communities struggle. You have veterans who need the housing or who are experiencing chronic homelessness, but they can't provide the links to help get them into housing, to help get them with the wraparound services, and then to remain in housing. So what you just, even in one bullet point that you just mentioned, those 563 veterans, that is more than just leasing to a veteran. Yeah.
Right. Katie, I have fantastic staff here, and they're passionate. And not only on VASH, which is an award-winning program, but with many programs, we're dedicated. We want to improve these lives, and no obstacle will stop us if we can find a partner to help us get there.
Mm-hmm. Excellent way to reframe that. So let's talk about SERC NAHRO. Congratulations, because you just got a legislative appointment on that committee. That's a big moment. Tell us, for people who don't maybe know what SERC NAHRO is, but maybe give us some grounding about what that is, and then what your involvement is going to look like.
Oh boy. So I'm following two giants, Ivory Matthews and Yolanda Bean. So I don't know if I'll do them justice, but SERC is the Southeastern Regional Council of NAHRO. NAHRO is one of our two big national trade groups, NAHRO and FADA. SERC is 10 states in southeastern part, and please don't make me name them all, but Florida's part of it. And then I made the mistake of calling this new SERC president, Michael Wong, and say, who's the legislative network chair? And that kind of greased my path right there. And I have a habit. My board asked me in our review, I have an outstanding board. They said, we'd like you to communicate more. So I started testing them. How much do you want? How much detail about our work do you want? And I started sending them NAHRO and FADA newsletters, and they ate it up. And then I thought, well, as long as I'm sending them out, I might as well send them out to our other legislative leaders or advocates.
Oh, good idea.
And just sending any news story or newsletter that comes across has gotten me in the position I'm in. So if you're listening and you want that, you have to email me. I'll be happy to add you to the list. You don't get an explanation. You usually get FYI and whatever it is that I forwarded. So I think that we have a responsibility, if we're going to serve our residents to the best of our ability, to be involved and know what the federal government and HUD is doing, right? Because that affects not just us and our operation, but affects every resident in our community.
Mm-hmm. I've even seen some ripples about how people adjust their development pipelines because they may be, wondering about their funding or wondering about the rules or the changes. So monitoring those things, is crucial. And many of us are sitting around saying, hey, I'm not a policy wonk. I'm not a person that, I understand certain pieces, but now so many more people are having to follow things closely to make informed decisions on how that's impacting their operations. But I have seen several people try to say, what can be done on the legislative front to help speed up that production line, to reduce regulations, to make it easier to build or easier on the housing front. And those conversations are always timely. For example, I've seen some recent conversations about the wage determination, the Davis-Bacon wage requirements. And is there an exemption for affordable housing? Is there, right now it's like 11 or 12 units. Should that be 300, or should affordable housing development be completely exempt? And so that legislative committee that you're on is going to be crucial to try to bring up suggestions to do just that.
So I just saw it this morning that a trade group is working on David Bacon and Build America, Buy America, Build America. Buy America, Build America has a great name. That's never going away, right? Who wants to vote against Buy America, Build America?
Right.
But we would like to see some, like during COVID, some exemptions for affordable housing if it's a priority. And then we do have to give some kudos to the federal government. They did pass a big LIHTC expansion this year to make more tax credits available so we can do more, we as an industry can do more development. And right, it's the numbers are there. 80% of affordable housing that's being built is being built with LIHTC, right? So that's the program that works the most. So we're expanding that. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it is. So what is the appetite for your developers in that community? You mentioned you're landlocked or peninsula locked. What appetite do you have for the private industry? Are they saying, bring us the deals and we'll build it? Or what's that look like?
Actually, we do it just the opposite, but you have to know, I get an opportunity here. Pinellas County and the city of St. Petersburg put some of their 1% infrastructure sales tax, they dedicated to affordable housing.
Oh, wow.
So they do per door, and there's a land trust. So we got a lot of tools in Pinellas County to address this. And all governments, there's 24 city here, just about every city here is unanimous that affordable housing is a priority. And on top of that, the state of Florida passed the Live Local Act. Live Local Act essentially took inclusionary zoning and monetized it. It's one of the most revolutionary affordable housing legislation passed in the United States. You put all three of those together and you really have some high octane things going on. So when I came here, we let every affordable housing developer in town know that we're open for business, right? We see that this point in time where affordable housing is such a critical need, right? And all these tools are here, right? The alarm bell's ringing. We need to go and answer the call, right? So we're trying to use every tool we can to work with as many quality developers as we can at this time to see what we can do to alleviate this problem, both long and short term.
I like how you put that. You talked about the financing tools. You talked about how the communities are already actively engaged. And it really is an alarm bell moment for people to just mobilize here. What do you think is what are some of the obstacles you're seeing? I mean, we've talked about the logistics and what you're doing, but what obstacles do you see in the community or just with delivering these types of programs?
First, I really have a conversation with any business owner where affordable housing and workplace housing doesn't come up, right? They're recruiting outside of our county. This is hospitals. This is the school board. This is just about every major employee, right? There are including us, some of our employees live in the next county and they're commuting, right? So there's a reason the alarm bell is there. As much as we congratulate the federal government for improving and expanding LIHTC in Florida, 1 out of every 10 applicants gets funded, right? So even with all these tools, we still can't address the need. So auxiliary housing units, ADUs, are a big topic of conversation this year in the legislature in Florida because right, we're landlocked, right? Being able to put a mother-in-law cabin or suite or garage conversion is the next frontier.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing a lot of places, even in South Florida, California, and some in Arizona, that are looking at their zoning rules to do casitas and those, granny flats or whatever you want to call them. But they're saying, there's only so much space that we can maneuver. And so the original code didn't think about allowing conversions. And it's great to have these conversations because land is changing, prices are changing, especially, in a geography that's like yours, where there's only so many places you can build.
Right. Or tear down and rebuild. Although we are looking at or we're involved with the Pinellas County School Board. They have some of their aged out facilities that they're looking at converting into workforce housing for their workforce. So people are being creative at the same time.
Yeah. I've even seen people do designs for abandoned malls, like the big old, storefront malls that had all of them, and where they've looked at converting those into some senior housing and so forth. So people are really getting creative. Times of necessity. What's that old saying? The mother of necessity or something? It was
necessity is the mother of invention. That's it.
There we go. I knew we'd come up with it. That's what is being required of all of us who are in this industry to try to meet the need of what's going on. Well, Neil, it's been great talking with you. As we close out, is there anything else that you would like to bring to our podcast listeners?
Yes, I'd like everybody to know that we're a mission and value-based organization. I told you I have a fantastic board and outstanding team members, but you should know that we're dedicated to this. Our mission is to provide quality, affordable housing and improve the lives of our residents. Our value statement is Pinellas County Housing Authority sets the standard for affordable housing in Pinellas. Our belief is that everybody deserves a quality place to live. And our core values are integrity, cultural learning, embracing innovation, and accountability. And we, as an organization, top to bottom, all embrace these and live our mission so we can improve other people's lives.
Excellent. You guys are doing a great job. And I look forward to seeing you on the next year NAHRO Merit Award winners.
Hopefully.
We'll speak it into action, won't we? So,
Katie, I really enjoyed being on here, and I have to tell you, I listen to ChangeMakers whenever it comes out. I've learned so much about it. You have such impressive people. You had Greta from Richmond. I replayed some of the things that she's doing with funding. You had that gentleman in St. Louis who owns movie theaters and other commercial venues.
Yep.
Very, very inspiring. I hope I get more than 2 listens on this one.
You will. You will be surprised how many people are going to come up to you and tell you they heard you. So I appreciate the shout out. Well, Neil, it has been great talking with you. Again, I'm talking with Neil Brickfield, the Executive Director of the Pinellas County Housing Authority in Florida. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks for listening to ChangeMakers with Katie Goar. To find out more about Katie, go to quadel.com. That's QUADEL.com. This has been a production of Forbes Books Radio.